I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking to a fantastic writer. His name is Rodney Conway, and he presents a riveting tale of discovery and transformation in a book called Magic on a Dime. Oh, a Canadian dime. Set against the backdrop of the Canadian landscape, this narrative follows Sid's journey from the mundane to the magical as he confronts his deepest desires and his deepest fears. We are delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. Rodney, it's so good to see you today, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you.
This is quite a story that you have come up with. What's the inspiration? And why don't we tell the folks at home the big picture, what it's about?
Well, the inspiration is it grew from little ideas, but I think the inspiration was, or the desire is to write something about unfulfilled dreams and fulfilling them. But the ideas came from, in my bathroom, I had a little shelf, and my wife had bought me a little boat in Scotland that to me looked like the Blue Nose, the Blue Nose 2, which is a famous Canadian sailing ship.
Right.
And it's on our dime. And so I had it in there and I was looking at it. And she had also put up a little lighthouse, on this shelf. And my kids had been, my sons had this game called Warhammer, and they had a little character. So I put a character on the boat. Mm-hmm. And the idea was born. It went boink, and this story just started coming out. Every time I walked in there, it grew more. And then I thought about it, procrastinated for a long time. And then other factors came in, and then I was working on a show with a director friend of mine from Germany, and he told me this story about Moliere. Mm-hmm. And Moliere, what Moliere was to France, what Shakespeare is to England. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal playwright, well loved by everybody, but hated by the church because he always made fun of the church.
Funny.
So when he died, the church said he can't be buried in hallowed ground, holy ground, and all the world was Catholic back then.
Right.
So that's like, well, then he's going to be forever in limbo.
Right.
So apparently the story was that the king, who loved Moliere, had to go on his knees to the Pope and beg him to let Moliere be buried in hallowed ground. And then the Pope said yes, on one condition: none of his actors could ever be buried in hallowed ground. So part of my story, that became the goal, to save. So that ties in with the trip. Whatever that is on the boat, he needs Sid to help him save these actors. So that begins the journey.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's cool that you got inspiration from antiquity, because it gives a timeless element to your story, I think,
yes,
which is great.
Yes.
Let's tell the folks at home what the book is about, just a rough overview, if you would.
Okay. Sid is this, basically, he's a guy living on the coast of Scotland. He's got unfulfilled dreams. He's been restoring a boat for a year, but he's afraid to sail. Mm-hmm. One morning, something happens that motivates him to, he sees something on his boat, and he can't believe what it is. So he goes out there, and from that becomes this confrontation he has, and he ends up sailing the boat. Mm-hmm. and going on this journey to help this character on the boat to save these actors. Mm-hmm. And then on it, you start going with magic, because they've only got this little boat, and in order to get there, the boat needs to be transformed. And so that begins the magic, and I'm kind of basing it on theater magic. I mean, an actor, at which I am, you go on stage, say I'm playing Hamlet, and I'm supposed to be looking at a castle, and it's just a stage. Where does that magic happen? Happens in the actor, happens in his eyes. And that's part of the creative magic of that transforms this boat to the Blue Nose 2. And so then they go sailing around the world. They gather up all these other fishermen and sailors, and they're kind of moving through time, like, across time, and they pick up adventure, people sold sailors from the Navy in World War II, but they go through time. They end up going to this. Had to have this big confrontation in the Pacific, so that means they sail through the South. They get to the Pacific, and where they have to go face the Great Abyss, which is magical mountain in the middle of the ocean, and they have to face pirates and all that, and they find the people they're trying to save. They bring them to California, and because I studied at a Commedia dell'arte in California, so we go there. We end up performing, and the magic takes place. And then the ship then we got to get back and bring the Blue Nose back. And yeah, that's the whole story, but it's a lot of fun.
Very, very, very cool. What role does the motif of a Canadian dime play in the events that transpire in the story?
Well, it because it's the Blue Nose too. I mean, the Blue Nose is on our dime. That's what's on the Canadian dime, is the Blue Nose, and the magic takes place on the Blue Nose. So then I went, oh, that it's magic on a dime.
Exactly, a Canadian
And
dime.
that's where it came from. And why I said a Canadian dime, because I thought, oh my goodness, there's going to be all these people all through the States and Britain, and they're going to look at it going, that's not a dime. So I thought it'd be funny to open the first page and say, oh, it's a Canadian dime.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It seems like from reading the book, the themes of unfulfilled dreams and personal growth are there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it is unfulfilled dreams, and I was thinking of Edward Lee Masters, wrote the book Spoon River Anthology. There's one character in that, and Spoon River Anthology is all these people talking from the grave. There's this one character. I can't remember the character's name, but he's bemoaning the fact that he did nothing his whole life. But on his tombstone, they carved a sailing ship. So he's like, why a sail? And I thought, I don't want to end up like that.
Right.
I don't want that to be my life. And I certainly don't want anybody else to do that. So it's like, I just thought inspiration.
Yeah.
And limbo is kind of a theme through the story. I mean, it's kind of something that always kind of haunted me anyway, is the concept of limbo, not doing anything, not going anywhere. And I thought, I want to, let's get out of that. Let's get out of creative limbo. And if the book inspires people to get out of creative limbo, I'm thrilled. I mean, essentially, I just want them to read it and go like, wow, I really enjoyed that. But if it gives you the idea that I can do things,
right,
then I'm all for that. And go for it is my
exactly. Yeah, it can be entertainment or it could be a message. Either way works for you, as long as they read the book and appreciate it. I've got a question for you. You are an actor. Do you have you visualized this as a film? And would you play Sid?
I'm too old for Sid. I'd like to be one of the pirates. But I mean, God, I wish I was 40 years younger. I'd play Sid, but I mean, he's in me. He came out of me, and I see me in that character all through it. But I'm because I'm an actor, I write in dialogue, and it comes through in the book. And it really wasn't until I was finished it, and maybe I was talking to somebody, and I was looking at the book, and I'm going, this is adaptable quite easy, I think, into film, because because I don't have any problem with dialogue. I have a lot of fun with it. I've written a play also that I haven't published it, but I've presented it at various audiences and got really good feedback. So it's just I write in dialogue. I mean, there's other I'm not like Ursula K. Le Guin, who can write like beautiful imagery. I mean, I look at that and I go, good grief, that's just beautiful. But I can do that. I think I can do that with dialogue, so that,
and also the story is very visual, and that's a big part of filmmaking as well. With the Canadian landscape, the train, the ship rather. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. Of course, I would absolutely be thrilled.
Exactly.
Anybody
Exactly.
out there?
Yeah, it's got to be magic. It's got to be magic to write something and then see it brought to life on the big screen,
I,
because what they can do today with movie making is
it's
mind
brilliant.
blowing.
It's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
brilliant, especially when it's based on a good story. And I mean, when when you have the story there, and you can create that, bring it to life. That's I think that's every author's, every actor's dream.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every creator's dream to see
Every
that happening
creator's
for
dream. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
that's a better word. Every
Yeah,
creator.
well, that's the new catchphrase, I guess, of 2023. You're not an actor or writer, you're both. You're a creator. The
Yeah,
umbrella term.
it was pretty exciting when I got this when it came out that it's published, because I was sitting there going like, oh, I'm a published author.
That's great. That's a great feeling. That's a great
Yeah, it
feeling,
was
right?
great. It was great. It was good. It was a good feeling. It is a
And
good
it's a couple of words before your name for now on, published author Rodney Conway, right?
feeling.
Sounds great. Are you working on anything else right now, Rodney?
I've got a couple ideas percolating, and
Yep.
the same, the kooky ideas come,
Yep.
and snippets are starting to come together in a little idea. And I've got one I've been kind of I've got an idea coming. Anyway,
Good.
I yeah, and it's kind of it's more it's a totally different theme. It's more detective story, but in a kind of space genre. Without, I know that's happened before, but mine wouldn't be. I think it's just, a question comes into your head, and you start to, and then you think, how would you solve that? And that
Right.
there a story comes out of that.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Love sci-fi. I love detective stories. Detective stories are my favorite genre. Huge
Oh,
Raymond Chandler fan. I love
yes.
anything film noir.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of film noir. I
Yeah.
love film noir. I'm always telling my sons that, yes, when you're watching film, you've got to go and look
Yeah.
at film noir. There's just such phenomenal stories there. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Well, this is a great book. It is a
Oh.
tale of riveting discovery and transformation. The name of the book is Magic on a Dime. Oh, a Canadian dime. You will never forget Sid's journey from the mundane to the magical. In fact, it might inspire you to take a journey all of your own. Rodney, before we leave you here today, anything you'd like the folks at home to know?
No, no.
A loaded question, right?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I'm just so appreciative how all the people working with you have been so nice to me. It's been fabulous.
Awesome.
So you know what? It's be creative, everybody. Don't have them put a sailing boat on your grave. So you gotta say, I didn't do anything. Just go do something.
Exactly, exactly. Go out there and do it like Rodney did, which is great. And more is to come, which I'm looking forward to talking to you about those books when they're ready as well.
Great.
Rodney, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.